Episode 5 of My Perfect Stranger begins with Yoon Young and Hae Jun engaging in a conversation where Yoon Young reveals an impending incident involving their student teacher being pursued by an unidentified attacker near the river. Despite their attempt to investigate, they arrive at the scene only to find Joo Young frightened by the water, while a hooded individual races down the street. Hae Jun pursues the figure and comes close to catching them, but Detective Baek's car obstructs his path. Hae Jun expresses his discontent when he discovers that Min Soo has been set free, criticizing Detective Baek for obediently following orders instead of prioritizing someone's safety. Despite Baek's admission of dissatisfaction, he feels compelled to adhere to the chain of command. However, Hae Jun's frustration grows as he fails to apprehend his target and ultimately instructs Baek to stay out of his path. Hae Jun finds Joo Young acting evasive and unwilling to disclose what is going on, although her desire to share is evident. Unbeknownst to Hae Jun and Yoon Young, Detective Baek observes the situation from a distance. Nonetheless, Hae Jun and Yoon Young accompany Joo Young to her residence to ensure her well-being. Yoon Young and Hae Jun meet at the Bong Bong Cafe, where Hae Jun discloses his identity as a reporter from 2021 and shares his knowledge about two women disappearing consecutively. Surprisingly, Yoon Young uncovers evidence in Mi-suk's novel indicating a third death, and Mi-suk herself hints at a long-held confession related to the perfect crime for the past 30 years. The question arises whether the student teacher's death is connected to this revelation. Even if it's based on true events, Hae Jun reminds Yoon Young that this is still just a novel, and as such, they can't use it as evidence. However, if Mi-suk stole the work, then it may not strictly be her own but her mother's writing embellished with Mi-suk's confession. However, a commotion on the other side of the cafe sees Hee Se-op confess his feelings to Sune, but he is met with a swift rejection. And also a few hits from Yoon Young, who gets involved. Sune speaks up, though, revealing that she's already dating someone else and that he is actually waiting outside for her. It's Beom Ryung. Hae Jun follows, and he learns the truth about Yoon Young's ties to Sune. After hearing her story, he decides they should get some rest. Joo Young is on the phone in her motel, telling someone she can't stay there any longer, and she similarly can't trust the police either. Who could it be who knows who I am? She thinks to herself. Joo Young also has a message that appears to be in the matchbox she received: someone is watching you. As for Hae Jun, he circles back to Hee Se-op as the potential suspect, believing that Sunni's rejection could be a possible reason for his outburst. Hae Jun leads Yoon Young down to the river, telling her there's something she needs to know. He admits that he doesn't have a good relationship with his mom but understands the love she feels for Sune. For now, though, they need to focus. Specifically, that focus is to be directed at the upcoming murder. The matchbox is going to show up, of course, with the note inside reading, "A woman who reads is dangerous." Hae Jun is curious as to why the river of all places was used, given how familiar it is. This gets him thinking, as Hae Jun theorizes that it could well be that Yoon Young's mom didn't commit suicide 34 years from now. It is possible that the person who murdered her directly confronted her, and they staged the scene to appear as a suicide. This explains the existence of the letter, which Yoon Young mistakenly understood as a suicide note. This causes our female protagonist to start crying before Sune in the classroom, and they hug. At school, Hae Jun tells Joo Young that he hasn't told anyone about what's happened but does notice a strange ring on her finger. Meanwhile, the kids get their 12th grade midterm ranking. Sune is at the top, followed by Mi-suk. Hae Kyung shows up and reprimands Sune after exchanging a suspicious glance with Mi-suk, claiming that Sune is emotionally manipulating people. Speaking of strange glances, Beom Ryung gives a weird look Joo Young's way while she's walking down the hallway. Anyway, these moments all add up to Yoon Young mulling over Hae Jun's confession to Yoon Young. He doesn't think Mi-suk is the culprit here, going on to mention the chase and how the person he followed was wearing a blue cap. He's still going to watch Mi-suk, promising to capture the real killer, but right now he doesn't believe it's her. Detective Baek mulls over what he's learned so far and believes that Hae Jun has set all of this up so he'd overhear it down by the river regarding Joo Young. Baek realizes that Hae Jun knew she'd be in trouble. However, 3 guys show up and confront him at the entrance. They reveal that Joo Young has had 3 prior convictions. Detective Baek shows up at school the next day and reveals what he's learned to Hae Jun, warning that he could have been seriously hurt by Joo Young. Quite what these convictions are remains a mystery, but as Joo Young flees out the back, Yoon Young follows and tries to track her down. She's a quick runner, and Yoon Young struggles to catch up. Joo Young grabs a token for a bus, but Yoon Young gets there first. She suddenly threatens Yoon Young with a knife, telling a charging Hae-jun that she can't go back to the police. When the police do show up, Hae-jun and Yoon Young work together to hide Ju Young. Hiding in the wardrobe, both Yoon Young and Hae-jun offer a helping hand to Ju Young, telling her that she's not alone and they're there to help. At the cafe, after all of this dies down, Hae-jun waits for the blue-cap man to show up and watches as he flips a ring in the air. The same ring Ju Young was wearing. He catches sight of the man's face. It's Hee Se-op.